Hey, what's up, y'all? So this video is gonna be mainly about my nursing school stuff that y'all was commenting on TikTok about. I posted a video where I was showing how I went through nursing school with two kids. Actually, I had a 1-year-old and I was pregnant, and a lot of y'all was just like wondering like how did I do it, did I have any help, stuff like that. And first and foremost, I do want to say I definitely had help. That's gonna be like one of the main things that you're gonna need when you are going through nursing school, because whether you have kids or not, just nursing school in general, like, they don't want you to work. Most of your time is put into school. There was a lot of sacrifices that I had to make, a lot of things that I had to change in my home life, in my personal life. Like, I literally stopped talking to all the friends that I had. All my friends wanted to do, all my friends wanted to do was just like drink and like party and stuff like that, and go out to the club on the weekends, just stuff that I didn't really have time to do. Um, Throughout my weeks, mostly I had like 4 or 5 days that consisted of school. So what I'm saying is you can't work full time. There's not really gonna be a good way that you can. Like, some people do. Like, don't get me wrong, some people do work the whole time and they stay full time. I'm not sure like how that goes, but me personally, I did not work the whole time. My first year of school, I didn't work. Um, I was living with my mom for my first semester, and then I only had one kid, and I had just found out I was pregnant. I actually found out that I was pregnant um, as I replied to like one of the comments. I found out that I was pregnant like 2 days after I got accepted into my program. And so I was already, when I went to go buy my scrubs and everything for school, I was already knowing that I was going to have to get a size up because of the fact that I was going to have to go through those changes. Um, Also, there's just like a lot of stuff that I want to cover, and I don't really know where to start, but let's just start with a lot of people don't work full time, and I don't really recommend you doing that because it's just going to be hard to do. I started working when I was in my second semester, and I got a job at a hospital. If you do have to work, or if you feel like, like money is tight and you just can't go without working, I best suggest you to just work at a hospital. What I did was a nurse extern position, which I have already made a video showing what I do at work for the most part. Um, so with that video, it just, shows you everything there. I mean, most of everything that, I do. And that was like during night shift. During day shift, it would be a little bit different. But basically, my role at my job is kind of like PCT work, where you help the nurse, and then you also have shadow shifts that you get scheduled where you work with a nurse. So you just work her whole shift with her like you're in clinical. And so you give meds with her, you take care of her patients with her, whatever. So that's what my role is at the job. You have a certain amount of hours that you have to commit to per month. Depending on who your nurse leader is, they might be strict about that. They might not, because they know that you're in school. And it's not full-time or part-time. What they call it is PRN. So what that stands for, when you start learning medical terminology, PRN is as needed. So you're not on the schedule. You just sign up for shifts, like, whatever your commitment is. And then basically you kind of just pick up shifts as you can. And I feel like that works for somebody who's in school. And like, it worked for me, of course, because I had a lot going on. Like, I had a baby while in nursing school, and I already had a 1-year-old when I started. I actually got into a car accident when I was 39 weeks pregnant. So a week before my due date, I got into a car wreck. Like, a lot of stuff just definitely was going on when I was in school. So you really have to like just be determined. Like, you have to expect things to happen. You have to expect the unexpected, and you just have to stay motivated, and you have to stay determined. That's the main thing. I know that there's going to be times where you take an exam and you just feel like you just didn't do well on it, and you felt like you did everything to prepare for it, and you still just didn't do well on it. And that's just a part of nursing school. A lot of people say, like, before going into nursing school, their GPAs are like 4.0s, 3.5s, stuff like that. And then, basically that's equivalent to like A's and B's in school. And then once they get into nursing school, it just dramatically drops. Nursing school, depending on where you go, some schools, their passing rate is 75%. My school that I had was 80%, which was really hard. It was very difficult. Because of the fact that, I feel like depending on how you're taught and the way that your tests are set up, it'll depict how hard it'll be. But my school particularly would prepare us for NCLEX. So our questions were not like, cut and dry. They were more so like, here's a scenario on what's going on, or here's some context clues, and based off that, you have to use your brain, you have to do critical thinking, and you have to figure out what the answer is. So that's just a little bit about like that kind of stuff. Some specific questions that I remember from here. Let's see. I'm gonna see what questions I had. Okay, so some tips on how I managed. And I already put some tips inside of my notes, so I'll start with these ones that I have. But first and foremost, I already said this, but you have to cut out distractions. Like, when you start nursing school, it is going to be hard. That's why I said Monday through Friday, a lot of times you have clinical, you have lecture, you have sim lab, like you have stuff to do, and it's pretty early in the day. So you have to be able to be available between like the basic hours like of work, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever. So depending on what school you go to, you'll find out like your schedule and all that afterwards. But for my school, there's always like something that'll pop up. Like we had like times where our clinical, we couldn't get in because of COVID or something, and then they would give us a random day for, I don't know, like COVID shots to replace our clinical hours. So it's like you have to be available basically for stuff. So if you have kids, you have to just make sure that you have somebody that can watch them. Me personally, I had help from my mother, like I mentioned, and it was very, very stressful for us both because when I went to nursing school, my schedule was jam-packed. My boyfriend's schedule was very jam-packed too. And like I said, my first semester, I went to school living with my mom. And then my second semester, me and him, like we moved in together so that I can have more help with our son that we already had at the time. And then I was pregnant also. So I felt like I was getting very overwhelmed being in school and like taking care of my 1-year-old, being at my mom's house. And he was just, able to go to work as he wanted to, and he was going to school too, but his schedule was way more open than mine. So I felt like I needed that help from him because it's both of our kids. So we did move in together, and basically his schedule was Monday through Saturday working full time, and he was going through an electrician program. So with that, like the schooling is included with that. So they basically get placed somewhere for work. He was at a plant, and he was working 60 hours a week, and 2 days out of that week, he would have to go for class at night. But class at night would only be about an hour or an hour and a half, and it would be like 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock, something like that. So yeah, he was doing that, and I wasn't working for like the first, I would say, 6 months of us living together until I decided that I wanted to get a job, and that's when I found my hospital job. So I do recommend getting a nurse extern job, or like whatever they call it at your local hospitals, because of the fact that most of the time they will hire you PRN, so that's just as needed. So they're not putting you on the schedule and then you have clinical the next day and you gotta find coverage or whatever. Like, it's pretty good with your schedule. So I wanted to get back to what me and my mom did before I pick up on my tips. For our schedule, I had clinical on certain days at like 6 or 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And my mom is also a nurse. So what she would do is work night shift from 7 p to 7 a, and she worked like maybe 10 minutes from my house. So she would get off from doing a 12-hour shift, crazy, and come and pick up my son and keep him while I would go to clinical or school, whatever I had to do, and then I would just get him back whenever I would get done. So because of the fact that my kids did not go to daycare, like whenever I would get done with like school or whatever I was doing at the time, like clinical or sim lab, whatever, whenever I was finished, I would have to go and get him. So that did make it a little difficult to find time to study. So what I would do is I would study at night, whenever the house is quiet and everybody's asleep, stuff like that, because that's what worked best for me. And I feel like sometimes at night I have trouble going to bed and stuff like that anyway, because I'm trying to make sure that, everything is lined up. Like, nursing school keeps you really busy and you have to be on your P's and Q's. So I really recommend having a planner. I had mine in this drawer, but I moved it because I've been using it recently. I recommend having a planner or something that you can use to keep you organized, because it is going to be a lot of due dates. They will give you a syllabus with your due dates on there, but I would just make sure that I have like a calendar or something that you can look at and you can see like how much time you have before that date is approaching, so you can have enough time to work on it. Especially if you're going to be working, like you definitely have to be responsible about your priorities and just making sure that your schoolwork is done and done on time, because I know some professors are like, if their stuff isn't handed in by the time that it's due, they won't take it. But anyways, I just wanted to get over the part that I was trying to explain to y'all about the busy schedule with school. Like, it is no joke. So yeah, I really do appreciate my mom. Shout out to her. Like, she really wanted to watch me finish this program, and she just held it down. Like, she really watched my newborn after I had him. She watched my 1-year-old before I had my newborn, and yeah, like, we just made it work. In the mornings we're switching car seats and just doing all this so that I can get where I gotta go. It was a lot of times where I'm like rushing and barely gonna be there, and like I'm out of breath trying to get where I gotta go on time, so I would just definitely recommend like prioritizing your days and being organized about what you have to do, so you're not doing anything last minute. But specifically, my tips, number one is going to be to cut out distractions. Like, you don't need any distractions. So if you know that you have a messy friend who like to go, doing stuff that y'all ain't got no business doing, like partying late at night, just like all kinds of reckless stuff, you probably wouldn't want to hang out with that person, because they're going to throw you off. Like, they're going to want you to come do this with them, go shopping. Sometimes you're going to have to learn to say no, because your schoolwork is going to come first. And it's like, it's only up to you if you really want what you're going for, and you're going to be that disciplined to go and get it. So it's like a little bit of cutting out a little bit of fun for a little bit. It's not gonna hurt. I shared this post on Facebook, and yeah, it's a very fit moment. And it says, quote unquote, missing out on temporary fun to build permanent stability is not a loss. Y'all better mother freaking hear me when I say that. So yeah, missing out on temporary fun to build permanent stability is not a loss. So when I had to, spend my time in the house, like I kid you not, like I had a lot of times where I had to be frugal, like I wasn't doing my hair as much. It's rough, like, especially if you have kids. Like, if you don't have kids, then maybe you'll be able to spend more on yourself, and you'll still be able to, take good care of yourself and upkeep yourself. But I'm not gonna lie, like, going through nursing school, I lost myself trying to accommodate my spouse's schedule, the kids' schedule, my own time to do stuff that I wanted to do, that I enjoyed doing, to do stuff like self-care that I needed to do. Even when it came to eating meals, I had to even plan what I was going to eat, because I would have days where I'm at clinical all day or I'm at school all day and I just don't have time to eat. So I would have to make sure that I brought snacks, just stuff like that. There's always going to be a vending machine, but, you want to keep your coins. So Anyhow, I just want to share that Facebook status with y'all. And like I said, just building your future is going to be worth cutting out distractions. So yeah, my next tip is going to be plan your days around your syllabus. So whenever you know, like I already mentioned, having a calendar is going to help with doing this because you'll be able to see the boxes and counting how many days until you have an upcoming assignment. I feel like looking at a syllabus, you just see like columns with dates and stuff, and so you don't really get to like plan it as good, I feel like. So with the boxes, that works. Um, Also, another thing is when you're already starting to take classes, when it comes to actually studying and making sure that your notes and everything are taken good, I will make sure to read the book prior to read the chapter that you guys, look in your syllabus, see what chapter you're learning for the next lecture, and go ahead and read that chapter before you go to class. If you don't have time to go ahead and read the whole thing, at least skim through it and like highlight important details, and at least try to start studying the, what do they call it, the glossary terms in the front. Um, so that will be good because it'll prepare you. You'll have like some kind of idea once you get into class and like they start lecturing. It'll be easier to follow along because you've already like had an idea of what you're learning for that day. And then another thing that I really recommend doing, like, don't go without doing this. Please don't go without doing this. When you are in class, make sure that you record your lectures. Take the phone that you have. I know everybody has a cell phone. And even if you have to buy a recorder, my mom has bought me a recorder. If you need a recorder, record the lecture. Go to, your phone should already have it. Go to voice memos. Right here. And you want to record that lecture. You want to record that lecture. You just press the button and let it do its thing. You can lock the phone, sit it on the desk, and it'll still be recording. So record that lecture because of the fact that when you get home, you might forget everything that teacher said. You might take notes, but you're not going to be able to take notes on everything. So it's like, my main thing is reading the book before you come to class so you have some kind of idea. Reading the terms that are in that chapter so that you know what to expect to see in that chapter. You have some kind of idea. Then when you get to class, record that lecture. And when you're recording your lecture, also sit and take notes. Whether you like to write your notes, whether you like to type them on the computer, whether you have like a tablet or something, like an iPad, and you like to handwrite them on there, whatever you like to do. I personally had this Galaxy, and I need to get another one. What I would do, I lost it. I gotta get that back because it has like a lot of notes on there that I could really show y'all like examples of what I did. And I also think that I have some sent over to my email, so then I'll add some that way if y'all want to see those, and I'll probably do it in another video so I can like give you an explanation of how I did them. But I had a tablet. It came with like a little pen, and I basically just hand wrote my notes on there. And the cool thing about this, it'd be even better if you have an iPad because of the fact that iPhones and iPads, they work really good when it comes to iMessage. You can easily send things back and forth. And pick up with, a paper that you're writing on in bed. Like, you're laying on the couch or whatever. You can pick up and write on that paper. You can type it up however you have to do. But I was a very lazy student when I tell you. I started on things early so that I can have more days to work on them over time and then finally turn them in because I know that I had a busy life. I knew that I had children to attend to. So I did what works for me. I worked on things, over time, like over a span of 3 days. Also, with the notes, like I was saying, with my tablet that I had, it was easy for me to send PowerPoints that I took notes on from there to my email, so then I can just pick up on that when I'm laying in bed, so I can study it wherever. I didn't have to carry my notes that I've handwritten around with me when I needed to study. It was just right here on my phone, no matter what I'm doing. Also, another thing is listening to those lectures again, because you can listen to them as long as you record them. You can listen to them when you're driving. You can listen to them when you're in the shower. You can listen to them when you're laying down about to go to bed at night. Like, just whatever works for you. Just making sure that you hear it again. That repetition is gonna make it stick. So yeah, I already mentioned record your lectures in class. Make sure to highlight important topics when you're reading your book. Definitely do not go without doing practice questions. When you're preparing for an exam, you want to do practice questions. If your teachers post practice questions on their website, definitely do them. Definitely do them. Even if you don't do all of them, attempt to do a few of them. Like, do some. What I think worked the best was doing practice questions on ATI. ATI was really good for practice questions because there's an actual website. You can lay on the bed or whatever. Like I said, I'm a lazy student. I like to just, after clinical a whole day, I want to come home, take my clothes off. If I have some studying to do, or if I don't have any to do in my free time, I will just scroll on my ATI and pick a quiz based off subject. You know, it could be cardiology, it could be pharmacology, it could be mental health, it could be mother baby, you know, whatever you decide that you want to study at that time based off what classes you're taking. It'd be just easy to go ahead and do that way. So yeah, just always make sure that you listen to that lecture again before you take your test. If you are good with repetition and you need something that way, make flashcards. I would think that will work good. That's a good way to use repetition. And you can use Quizlet for that too. I use Quizlet a lot to find practice questions. They have images on there depending on what class you're taking. If you have to memorize something in an area like anatomy and physiology, something like that, or if you're trying to learn like the chambers of the heart, something like that, Quizlet has images. And the thing about it is, don't always trust Quizlet because of the fact that these are study sets that people made. They're not formulated from a specific site or anything like that, so people could put the wrong answer, they could put the right answer, you know, but a lot of the study sets are copy paste from ATI, so you'll find like a lot of stuff on there to practice like questions with and stuff. If you are very artistic, I did not do this very often, but sometimes I would draw out different, you know, anatomy things, like depending on what it is. If you have to draw out the anatomy part, so like you're learning the chambers of the heart, like I said, drawing it out and you're very visual, it'll help better seeing it that way. A lot of videos that I watch on YouTube help me to study specific topics. So I used to watch registered nurse RN videos a lot. And there's also videos made by Simple Nursing by a lot of people. Have different people that they like to watch. Some people like to watch, there's just different people. Like, you'll run across people. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to slaughter anybody's name in this video. But there's different, like, nursing instructors basically on YouTube that will have different things for you to watch. Like, there's people who draw things on a board and they explain it that way. And sometimes it'll help because having something taught by different people helps. Like, not just one way that you can learn. Like, getting taught by your teacher might be different than getting taught by somebody on YouTube. They might be able to explain them in different ways that make more sense to you. So another thing that I would say is when you're studying disease processes, or if you're studying pharmacology, because of the fact that disease processes and pharmacology have very specific signs and symptoms or side effects when it comes to the medications, I would study those by charting. I would either find a pamphlet on Google or something like that have different boxes, and you can put the medication name in one, put the side effects in a different box, whatever works for you. But I would definitely make sure that you can, with those type of things, they are in categories, so it will be easier to learn them that way if you're using something like Quizlet, or if you find like a chart, like I said. The disease processes also, like arthritis has, different signs and symptoms, as in like joint pain or whatever. So you will want to find those specific side effects. Like heart attack has the signs and symptoms of, chest pain, shortness of breath, different things like that. You would want to write those different signs and symptoms down so that you know those on your exam. Because what they use those for a lot of times is to do select all that apply questions, which are questions that ask for multiple answers. So it might be like, a 54-year-old woman has such and such disease. Some signs of this could be, and there'll be, like 6 different answers, and you would have to pick like 3 out of those 6, or you'll have to pick however many you believe to be correct out of those 6. If you guys have any other questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me through inbox. You can ask me on TikTok, you can ask me on Instagram, however you can get in contact with me. You can comment on this video if you have to. I feel like the quicker I would see it would be on TikTok. I'm not really on YouTube a lot because I'm still trying to grow my YouTube channel. But I will be having so many more videos to come. I just need suggestions on what y'all want to see, what questions y'all have. But I'm ready to go to a job interview, and if y'all want to know more about that, or if y'all want to see more content when I start my first job, more of like what I do specifically, I'm not sure exactly what field I'm looking to work in yet, so my options are still open, and I definitely am trying to figure that out now. So yeah, if y'all have anything that y'all want me to answer, or anything else that y'all want to see, whether it's about like motherhood or just anything, the gym, fitness, just changing up your diet, anything that you want to find out about, just don't be scared to ask me. But yeah, I hope that everybody's having a good day, and I will be in contact with you guys soon. Thanks for watching my video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.